what Wilt Chamberlain was able to do. 100-point game in that entire 62 season that he had, what he averaged. It seems incredible now to think he averaged 50 points.
Yeah, 25 rebounds. I mean, that's amazing. It's amazing.
Times were different. It was a different
game. It was a different game still. You know, 50 points, 25 rebounds. It's 50 points and 25 rebounds. It's a credit to what a physical specimen he was and how talented he was.
Can you give me your all-time starting five?
Oh, of all time?
All time.
Magic at the point. MJ at the 2. Larry Bird at the 3. Bill Russell at the 4. This is tough. Wilt at the 5. Now I'm struggling because Kareem and Wilt. I mean, they're neck and neck. So,
are you 6'9"?
No, dude, I'm not. I'm nowhere near that stuff, man. You still got Jerry West. You still got Oscar.
Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. Well, you heard it from Kobe Bryant out of his mouth. He said that Wilt Chamberlain, to him, is the top 3 player, if not the greatest center of all time, if not the greatest player of all time. We're going to talk about all 3 of these guys on the screen: Curry, Kobe, and Wilt Chamberlain. Okay, we're going to talk about Curry not getting any help. And we can talk about this right now. And then we'll talk about Kobe and Wilt Chamberlain. But they're not going to give Curry any superstar help because they don't want this guy winning another championship, especially as long as LeBron is on the court. I don't think they would care if he won another one, if LeBron was retired. But they don't want this guy winning another championship on LeBron's watch, because he would have beat LeBron 3 times. And what did he lose? How many times did he lose in the finals? 2 times, right? So they just don't want that to happen. And plus, LeBron took his MVP in the Olympics. I mean, wow. And these guys don't say nothing. I mean, Curry didn't say nothing about that. I mean, you pretty much came to the team, you and Durant. You take Durant and Curry off that team, and they lose. And that's the sad part about it, because you still got LeBron, you still got AD, you still got Bam, you still got Drew Holiday, Tatum, the so-called next Michael Jordan. You still got all these guys, and they could barely defeat a rookie in a slow-footed Rudy Gobert. The rookie, Wembanyama. They could barely beat these guys with Curry and with Durant. It just goes to show you that when you stop playing American basketball and you want to play their game, this is what's going to happen. Remember why we're playing international basketball, so we can get international ratings. This is the league that Adam Silver set up, right? It's a league that Adam Silver set up because the Americans, once Michael Jordan retired, basically, I would say after about 2005, they couldn't sell their league. So eventually they went on to start playing this Euro style basketball instead of American basketball, because the Americans couldn't sell their league. And the fact that they got beat by Euros in 2 international players, not just Euros, they got beat by international players in 2 straight international games, getting bronze. So you got to understand what the league did. It was a thing to where they did what was best for the league, because these guys like LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, all these new crop of guys, even Tim Duncan, these guys could not sell the league to where it was back in the 80s and the 90s. So they had to start getting, they had to put it pretty much in favor of Euros. International players, and they were getting beat by international players. So why not put this league in the favor in the eyes of international people and draw more international ratings. And this is why these guys look good. They look good in this era, but they also look bad. The numbers look good, but the eye test looks horrible. It looks horrible. It's just guys doing what they want to do, a lack of defense, a lack of effort, and just a whole bunch of stats. Anybody can play in this NBA. Anybody can play in this NBA. Now, I'm just so glad I didn't get to see this NBA when I was growing up, because the NBA probably would have not made it to this point, to where it's at right now. You take a Victor Wembanyama. Yes, this guy might have skills, but he would, in the 80s and 90s, we would put him inside, and he would learn some moves and be a dominant center instead of sitting out there at that three. We saw what Pop did with him in the regular season. And yes, he got Rookie of the Year. He should have made All NBA. He should have been like an MVP candidate if Pops would have used him right. And we saw what they did in the Olympics. They kept sitting the guy down. Well, just don't let him play in the Olympics if you're worried about. I don't know what you're worried about. They kept sitting him down every damn quarter until we got to the fourth quarter. But yet you had LeBron, Curry, and Durant, who is way older. They just kept playing damn near the entire game. So that wasn't making no sense to me, other than, I won't even say nothing. I won't even say nothing. Unless the man was tired. I don't know. I don't know how you can be a basketball player and a great basketball player at that and be tired. So I don't really know what the deal was, why they were taking him out. I kind of have some thoughts about that, but it really don't matter. All I know was the guy was crying after the game. And like I said, I would be crying too, because it took all that just to beat his team. Just to beat the France team. It took all these top 75 players and Hall of Fame players just to beat slow-footed Rudy Gobert and a rookie Victor Wembanyama. That's it. And we're supposed to be impressed by this win. And we're supposed to be, oh yeah, they would dominate the Dream Team. Like I said, first of all, when that Dream Team would have stepped on the floor with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Charles Barkley, all these guys, Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, France would have pooped their pants. France would have pooped their pants, because these are, top 5 players at their position. Basically all of them. I wouldn't say all of them, but basically just about, if not top 10. Oh, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. I'm talking about these dudes would have pooped their pants. Nobody cares. These are dudes, Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, White, a lot of these guys. Bam. You're not in all of them. AD. Oh my God, there's AD. Man, these are the greatest players of all time on that Dream Team. So France would have just been so intimidated by the sheer skill, the strength, the quickness, everything. And they would not have called a timeout. They would have ran France to death. Well, France would have called a couple timeouts. So yeah, they're not going to get Curry any kind of help, because they don't want him having any help, because they don't want him winning another championship. They want this whole script, this movie or whatever they're going to come up with next with this Bronny thing. It's not even a real NBA. It's just so people will have platforms so they can talk about the NBA and people still be interested in the NBA. They have your debate groups on Facebook, your dudes with channels just line it up. That's all they do. There's a whole bunch of lies and narratives, and it's not. When you see Kobe, you can see Wilt Chamberlain. You're just happy that guys like this didn't play in the fake NBA. They imagine if Wilt, the disrespect they're giving Wilt Chamberlain now. If they wouldn't do that if he was still alive. They wouldn't be saying all this nonsense. They wouldn't. They wouldn't. There's no way they would put LeBron over Wilt Chamberlain. If Wilt Chamberlain, man, he'd be saying a lot of stuff, because he didn't hold back when he was alive. He would just speak his mind. And before Kobe passed away, they were starting to disrespect him. And, Michael Jordan, he really doesn't say nothing. I mean, I don't think he's ever going to say anything. And, hey, maybe Wilt would not have said nothing and Kobe would not have said a lot, because, I think these guys, to a certain degree, are told to, hold the water and don't poke a hole in the dam, because this thing is, once you do that, the NBA is really going down, because it's really going down already. It's really going down already. Nobody's watching it. So I told you guys before, for you to promote your game and for people to care about it, you got to start dissing your past great players that paved the way for these guys today. You got to start doing this. And I really never heard anybody outside of the Lebron media, or maybe people getting paid by Clutch Sports, dissing past eras. I never heard this. Who are the great players that played in the 2000s, the 2010s, that diss other past great players? I just don't remember it. All I remember is, like, a bunch of nobodies, and some role players that claim LeBron is the GOAT, or getting paid by Clutch Sports to say these things, to say nonsense about past players. This is how bad the NBA has really gotten. I'm trying to tell you, when you get to that point right there where you got to diss your past great players, it's pretty much over. It's pretty much over. It's pretty much over. I don't care how, these guys are getting these big contracts. It's whatever. They're just raising prices. That's all they're doing. And like I said, and I've heard this in the past, not too long ago, that most of these fans today are not real NBA fans. These are just suit and tie corporate fans writing it off on their taxes, want to see entertainment. These aren't real NBA fans of the past, who came to see rivalries, who came to see positional basketball, who came to see your team. So that's just how it is. You just don't have the same NBA. It's basically entertainment. It's entertainment anyways, but it's not like the NBA back in the day, where you just had, rivalries. You had team basketball. You had the guys stay for years and years on one team, your superstars, and they might have had, like, another player who was a great duo that stayed for years and years and years and years, or a trio. You don't have that no more. So we heard this, Kobe Bryant, like I said, he said that he picked Wilt over Kareem. He said it was kind of hard for him, but come on, man. Wilt Chamberlain versus Kareem in their primes? No way. No way. I think the center position was tougher in the 60s. They had better names than the 70s. No, I think once they got to the 80s, not to the 80s. Well, let me see. Yeah, it was tougher in the 60s. The center position, you had better centers than the 70s. But when you got to the 80s, it started getting a whole lot better, especially when you got to the mid to late 80s. But the 90s was the best center position of all time. It was the best. No doubt about that. And it would be something if we saw Kareem play in the 90s with that center talent. That would have been something to be seen. That would have been something. But I don't think Wilt really had that center. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I don't think he had that competition in the 70s. I just don't think he had that center competition. Nah. So, in an interview, one interview was like when Kobe, I think it was like in the early 2000s, and then the other one was in the late 2000s. I think 2009, after he won that championship when he was in Disney, and he picked Wilt over Kareem. And then he won at the Rucker. He was what's that thing called? Was it the Drew League? I think he might have been at the Drew League when he said say it after him. He said Wilt, him, and then Jordan. Now, I don't know what order he was really putting them in. I don't know if he was putting Wilt number one, but that's how he felt. That's how he felt. He didn't say LeBron James. He didn't say Magic. He didn't say Kareem. He didn't say anybody else. He said those three he considered the best players of all time. I mean, he could have picked, he probably would have picked MJ. That's pretty much no surprise. But for him in three different videos to say Wilt, and Wilt, I mean, what does that tell you? Because Kobe Bryant is considered one of the most skilled basketball players of all time, if not the greatest. If not the greatest. It's funny that they say LeBron James is better than Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, but they never say anything about him being skilled. Never. When do you hear him say the most skilled basketball player of all time? That you never hear them say that about LeBron James. And LeBron James said that about Kobe Bryant in the interview. Do we need to bring it back up? Yeah. He said, what was that? That had to be about, man, when was that interview? It was, I would say, it was in the 2000s. I would say about 2008, 2009, when they both got interviewed. I think it was on Sports Center. And then they got a chance to talk about each other. And they were saying good things about each other. And then LeBron said, once again, he said, let me say this once again, let me iterate that Kobe Bryant is the best in our game because of his skill set and all this stuff. Kobe Bryant never said LeBron James was the best in the game. Never. Never, ever, 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 ever. Never. Never. And I never heard in the 2010s or the 2000s anybody say that LeBron James was the best in the game. I never heard any great player. I never heard Way say that. None of these guys in no interview. I'm not trying to say he wasn't. He probably was. But I don't think every year. No. So that just goes to show you he won those two MVPs in the 2000s, and he was even saying Kobe was the best in the game in two different interviews. It was an interview where he did, I think it was like around 2007, and then it was an interview about 2009. Two different interviews. He said Kobe was the best player in the game because of his skills. And what are we talking about? Was it shooting? Because the LeBron fans say that Kobe couldn't shoot because his field goal percentage. And then his 3-point percentage. So what was his skills? I don't understand. Was it dribbling? Was it dribbling? So you're the best in the game because you can dribble? I don't understand. Was it the defense? So you was the best in the game because your defense? No. Kobe was the best in the game because everything. He's the best in the game because of everything. All around game, effort, free throw shooting. And that I'll tell you right there. If you can't shoot free throws, you're not a good shooter. You're just not. You're not a good shooter. If you can't shoot, oh man. Especially in your prime. If you can't shoot at least 80%, that means you're not even that means you're not even a good mid-range shooter. Now, when you get to shooting maybe 85% or higher, that means you're a good all-around shooter. Like 3-point shooter, you're getting to 88, 89, 90. That means you're a good 3-point shooter. You're just a pure shooter from all around. LeBron has never shot 80%. So he's not a good free throw shooter. He's not a good mid-range shooter. He's not a good 3-point shooter. No. Oh, man, that man shot 40% last year. Yeah. I think everybody got the word from the NBA. You better leave this guy wide open so he can shoot these threes. Everybody got the word. Leave this guy wide open. Let him hit these threes. And we're yet to see, because last year, Michael Jordan had like 50-point game when he was 38, 39. In a slew of 40-point games. I think he had like 5 40-point games. LeBron had no 50-point games. And no, Mike had 2 50-point games, if I'm not mistaken. And he had a slew of 40-point games. I think it was like 4 40-point games at 38, 39. So next season at 39, 40, Michael Jordan had like 4 or 5 40-point games. So it's going to be interesting to see if LeBron can do that. I don't think he can do that because we all know the more shots he takes, the more he breaks it up. That's why he went to Miami, right? That's that whole thing, going to Miami, because he couldn't carry a team taking all these field goals, because the more he shoots, the more he's going to break it up. The majority of his shots have to be going to the rim, dunks and layups. They can't be from the perimeter. Now, some of them can, but he can't have half of his shots coming from the perimeter. He tried that back in Cleveland, and it didn't work out. So it wasn't until, 2009, 2010 season to where he finally shot 50% from the field for a season, right? Because he started getting more help, and he started taking less shots. And then when he went to Miami, it hasn't stopped. His field goal percentage has stayed high because he's taking less shots, because he's had these super teams. So he's not like Mike or Kobe or anything like that. It will be, if we go back and look at his field goal percentage where he was taking, close to what Kobe and Mike was taking, it was laughable. You saw his field goal percentage always 48, 49, 47, all that stuff. And you think, well, it was a slower pace era. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the amount of shots he took from driving to the basket versus the perimeter. Why his field goal? Well, he took a lot of shots from the three. For some reason, why this guy was taking so many shots from the three, nobody knows, because he can't even shoot free throws, and he couldn't shoot the mid range. So a lot of his low field goal percentage was because he was shooting all these threes, because he was scared to shoot the mid range. And the mid range was it was pretty much in play in the early 2000s when he was, but he still wouldn't take it because he sucked at it. So he would get on a little streak, hit these threes. So he didn't have touch to shoot from the mid range. And in the mid range, it's kind of different because the 3-point line, you can get adapted to that because it never moves. The line never moves. In the mid range, it could be from anywhere. It's not a line there. So you got to have great touch to shoot that mid range at different angles and different spots outside the paint, inside the arc. So I just thought it'd be funny if, Wilt Chamberlain, Kobe Bryant was still here. They would be laughing at this era. They'd be like, what the hell is going on? We're getting dominated by international players. International players are the top 5 players in the league. Wow. I just but hey, we want to play the ball. Luka and Joker is dominating this league. Number 1 and number 2. What? Even Larry Bird was faster than Luka. I'm not gonna lie. Luka is averaging 10 rebounds a game. Could you imagine that in the 90s? Joker is dribbling around with handles. He ain't got no handles, but I'm saying he's just dribbling around the perimeter, get 9, 10 assists. This is a joke. It's a joke. Why he's getting you 10 rebounds against nobody under the hoop. You just couldn't even imagine. Wilt Chamberlain and Kobe Bryant will be laughing at this NBA, which is an international game, which is even weaker because the international players tell you that even though they play this style of basketball where 4 guys are at the 3-point line and 1 guy is inside, they're still allowed to be physical, right? They're still allowed to hand check and, body you up, put elbows in the post. They're still able to do this. The NBA won't even let you do that. And they're playing international ball. They won't even let you play the full international ball. This is how weak this league has become. It's weak. There's no excuses for it that these guys are supposedly making record contracts every season, but they can't even play men's basketball? You already got the floor spread out. That's the advantage to drive. Or not even play tough defense. And then you're not even playing, you can't even hand check. I was watching this game. The Lakers versus Knicks. What was it, 1969? No, 1970. It was game 7 in the finals. And man, every time Jerry West or whoever brought the ball up, it was nuts because the dude had his hand on his waist, just hand checking him, riding him the whole damn time he was bringing the ball up the court. It was nuts. It was nuts. And then another guy would come over and trap him, and he would throw the damn ball away, and that just happened the whole damn game. And then the score was, I think one of the teams, I think Knicks had like